Hey guys, I'm coming back to this Darrell Brooks case. Some people had asked, what was he talking about with these other cases pending? He's trying to create a conflict with his sentencing hearing, saying, "Hey, I've got these other cases in Milwaukee, Judge. I'm a really busy litigant. I got a lot of violent crime cases out there, and so it's pretty inconvenient for me to do this sentencing hearing when you want to. Can we just put this off?" And the result of that would have been to push it into next year, and the judge wasn't going to do that. But I thought, well, I'm going to look and see what he does have pending still, actually. And when I did it, and when I pulled the court records, I found that. And I'll tell you that, but I also found the history of his cases, the sordid history of the bail, and kind of how that unraveled. And you could just watch this train wreck in progress to how somebody who was extremely violent was finally let out of the system way too easy just because of the inertia and the bureaucracy involved in it. And we'll go over that. So what's he facing right now? He's got a pretrial conference on the 17th of November. It's not a trial yet. 17th of November would be his final pretrial conference for his offenses in the Milwaukee system. And that involves a second-degree reckless endangerment. Second-degree reckless endangerment, I think that's when he shot at the two people, and possession of a firearm by a felon. He's also got resisting an officer. That's from a different set of counts. Bail jumping, another second-degree reckless with domestic violence assessment. I think that's when he ran over his girlfriend. Disorderly with domestic abuse assessment, and battery with a domestic abuse assessment. He's also got filed in December of 2021 3 felony charges: intimidating a victim, threatening by force, etc., intimidating a witness, person charged, and bail jumping. 3 felonies there. So those are all the charges that he's facing. Again, 17th of November is supposed to be a pretrial conference, and then 12th of December, those are set for trial. He's got counsel for those as it currently stands. Those people have changed, and at one point he'd asked for a different lawyer, et cetera, but right now he's not representing himself. He's got lawyers there. So let's back it up a little bit and see how this all unfolded with this last series of events where he was arrested for violent crimes and let out under extraordinarily lenient conditions repeatedly until finally the public paid the price. So 28th of July, 2020, he was arrested and taken into custody for second-degree reckless endangerment, and possession of a firearm by a felon, and that's when he shot at people. Bail was set at $10,000. There was also a no-contact order issued that included his mother. He wasn't supposed to talk to his mother. Of course, we know he ignored that. He basically, as we know, eventually ignored all conditions of his bail and release. So on the 7th of August, the defense said, "Hey, we'd like a bail hearing, and we want it modified down. It's 10,000 is too high for him having shot at people in his own family." So on the 13th of August, bail was modified to $7,500, but he still couldn't raise that or get a bond for it. Brooks, as is his right, made a demand for a speedy trial, and that was set for November of 2020. And actually, the parties did proceed toward that. The defense counsel actually readied themselves for that. On the 9th of November, the defense said, "Can we get this bail lowered again?" And the judge said, "No, this thing is still on a track for jury trial. Let's concentrate on that. Let's make that happen." On the 24th of November, the state makes a plea bargain offer to him of some sort for what he had done, the shootings with the firearm, and he rejected it. On November 30th, he was not available. The record says due to COVID. So we see COVID intervening here and disrupting the court progress. Trial was moved to February of 2021. Defense again said, "Well, can we get this bail lower? This thing is starting to drag out, right? He's supposed to have a speedy trial, and he's not having it. Can we get some bail relief here so this guy doesn't have to just rot in prison?" Then in February, it was supposed to be on the 8th of February. There was a one-day delay, and on the 9th, the judge moved the trial to the 28th, June 28th, 2021. And when that significant delay occurred, the judge caved in and reduced the bail to $500. Shortly after that, the bail was posted. He was out of prison. He was back on the street. He did show up in June for a status conference. And on the 28th of June, due to congestion, they didn't have the trial. The state made a new plea offer, and they rescheduled it for the 31st of August for a plea hearing. So remember, if they'd had the trial in June of 2021, these murders, assuming he was found guilty, these murders wouldn't have happened. He would have been incarcerated. There was a new plea offer. If he'd taken that and it involved jail time, that also would have taken him on the street. But there was a new plea offer. They wanted time to consider it, so they rescheduled for 30th August. And of course, we know November, there's a date with destiny coming, a horrible event. 31st of August, there's a new plea offer, and the defense says, well, now we've got another offer, judge. Give us some more time to look at it. And the judge says, okay, so now we're looking at an 11 November new date for them to reconvene and see what's going on with this case. It's been dragging on forever. It's a violent crime. He was originally held on a not excessive amount of bail, I think. And then it was reduced to $500. So he's been out on the street for quite a while. A lot of inertia in this situation. COVID this, COVID that, congestion, slow court, etc. And basically his case isn't resolved. They're supposed to meet on the 11th of November, right? And he knows he's facing these charges, that there's some level of justice coming for this. On the 10th of November, defense counsel alerts the court, Your Honor, he's in jail on a new set of charges. All right, so on the 5th of November, he was taken into custody for second-degree reckless endangerment, felony bail jumping, resisting arrest, battery with domestic abuse, and disorderly conduct. He's arrested for all these things. Okay, early November, this is the same month where he ended up going through the parade ground. So another wholesale set of violence, including resisting the police officer and running over his girlfriend and all that. Cash bail in that case. Now remember the previous case, the bail was originally set at $10,000, reduced to $7,500, reduced to $500. And while out on bail, he commits another set of crimes. Why didn't they just revoke his bail? You're not supposed to commit more crimes when you're out on bail. That's typically a condition of bail. I don't know. They set his new bail at $1,000. That turned out to be the final disaster. So he's now out on almost 10 charges and several felonies, and they're all violent. And his bail is $1,000. And his mom posted only a few days later. The mother he wasn't supposed to have contact with due to no contact order. And I've seen some comments, oh, bail's just to make the bail bondsman rich and things like that. Nobody's getting rich when there's a bond set at $500 or $1,000, because if you hand the court $500, you don't need a bail bondsman. They're only there if you can't afford the whole amount, and they need to front it. They're going to charge you 10% or whatever, and they're going to get security from you that they think that they can collect the rest of it. That's what they're there for. When bail amounts are this small, come on, that's silly. So I don't know whether she got a bond or not, but again, we're only talking about $1,000 here. So he's bailed back out, and 11 November, I think, is when she posted the bail, and then a few days later, he commits mass murder. So again, at the time he committed the mass murder, he was out of court for several felony violent charges. And I still think that plays into what happened that day, that when he was told, you got to get out of here, the police have been called, they're on their way. He knows, right? He knows he's out on bail. He's already been charged with bail jumping. He got so many lucky breaks. He's out on the street with his mom's money in his mom's car. If the police pick him up again, he's going to go to jail. So he flees the scene. And then whatever happened in his head after that happened, but he ended up murdering people and injuring scores of others. So I was kind of stunned when I read through the court records, because they're dry and you just read these entries, but you know what happens at the end of the story, and you're thinking, could not this chain have been broken at some point and all this avoided? How does he get a $500 bail for a set of violent offenses with his prior record? How, when he's let out for that, and then he goes off and runs over his girlfriend and commits other crimes and arrested again, how in the world do you set him at $1,000 bail when he's already violated the conditions of the other bail? It's awful. But there it is in black and white. You watch the system walk down the situation. Hey, we'll reduce your bail. Hey, we'll delay your trial. Hey, here's another plea bargain offer. Here's another plea bargain offer. And he never took any of it seriously. The only thing he appeared to take seriously was trying to dodge getting caught on the day that he killed everybody. And just a tragedy all the way around. Even after he did that, there have been, just so you know about these other cases, global offers from the state for plea bargain is a note in that file. And so maybe that means that if he had taken the plea bargain for the murder cases, everything could have been consumed into a giant plea bargain. But that didn't happen, right? He went to trial as a sovereign citizen and tried to defend himself and get off, and it didn't work. So these other cases are still pending. Is he going to plea bargain those? Maybe, but why would he, right? He's gonna get sentenced by this judge to life imprisonment without parole. Why would he plea bargain? if he had any sense of decency, he would do it just to prevent the system from having to deal with this and the witnesses from having to come. But he's not a guy really with a lot of sense of decency. So he may not. He may force it to go to trial. And right now he has lawyers. Is he going to show up in December and say, hey, I want to fire these lawyers and represent myself? I don't know. We'll just have to see what happens with that. So he's going to have his sentencing hearing, right? And then after that, he's got this final pretrial conference on these other charges, and then a trial date set in December. We'll just have to see what happens. But I thought, from having looked this up, it would tell you what his actual current pending charges are. What the real story is, that there's a pretrial conference coming up. It's not a trial in November for him. That's in December. And then show you what I found on this history of how this bail unraveled, and just reading it in black and white and watching that train wreck start to occur in slow motion. It's just awful. I don't know what you can say from it other than hopefully the system learns some lessons in this, that this, you can't cut but so many corners with these violent guys. You just can't do it. There aren't that many of them, but if you leave them out on the street, look at the price they extract from the children, from the families. It's awful. Anyway, I think that's all there is to know about this case and this guy before the sentencing hearing. So have a good weekend. Thanks.